everyone. Welcome back again to the Iconist podcast. I'm one of your hosts here, Barry 3D for Deep Dark Delicious. Hey, on my side, I'm sitting with my cousin as usual,
DJ Rod C. I'm here, people. We're all here. We're gonna have some fun today. Yeah.
Yes, we are, and have a very special guest, and I'm very honored that he's on this podcast with us. I am.
Is your screen frozen? Like. Oh Lord, I'm not even.
I am, and I'll give you a second. Talk in a second. I'm just going to introduce and then a couple of quick shout outs like we usually do. So I'll make this quick because I want him to have as much time as possible. So one, Jimmy English, Back to the Balcony. Check him out. You know, they talk about movies, past, present, brings on guests all the time. Weekly show. You can find it on all streaming services with, any place you get your podcast from. So that's one. Two, we're going to shout out. That's one, right? Here we go. We're also going to shout out Touch of Great Comedy, which I'm a part of. So that's Dave Sokolowski, Thomas Patrice, Zulf Ali, and myself. You can find us everywhere. We're doing some live shows. So if you're seeing this one, you probably just missed one of our shows. We did a fundraiser. Keep the eyes open. Always on YouTube. We have over 100 videos on that channel. It's still counting. Of course, these are Iconist podcasts, which you're watching right now. Thank you. Like, subscribe, share, and hit the notifications. Don't miss nothing. Exactly. And then Jaybird Digital Arts, who does our templates, our logo, and all that stuff. If you have any kind of media that you need designed, Jaybird is the place and the man to go to.
Jaybird. Okay, cool. You didn't let me get a chance to say it. God, I do it all the time. That's why this guy's going in. I'm like, jump in. Scotch. Jaybird.
Jaybird.
Sorry.
Jaybird.
Sorry about that. Sorry about that. Yes, I do apologize.
I think did I miss anyone so far besides our guests that I knew? And then of course, if you're in Montreal, check out Check Swings on the South Shore in Broussard. Great comic book store. Ask for Trevor and ask him for his hot sauce. He has a variety of them there, also for sale. And if you're out in Kitchener, one of my favorite places to go to is Wow Comics, Warehouse of Wonder, with my boy Wes. 2 floors, 500,000 comics. You can't go wrong. Pad up your back issue supply. Support the art. Support the books. Thank you very much. Now, usually, and then Rod, where can we find you real quick?
Well, you can find me on the internet somewhere. But directly, you can find me on Instagram. I'm Mr. Rod C. Mr. RODC. Or you can find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/DJ Rod C. Listen, I'm out there, like I said, every week. I'm out there having fun, playing some tunes, and just giving you some good vibes. So make sure you pass by and, do the hello, hi. Where'd you find me from? I'm from Iconist. Okay, great. Welcome in. Just do that and we're all good. Okay, I've done my part. Go all do the other part you normally would do. But You can't really do it now.
No, I can't, because usually, and anyone that's a fan of the show, been listening to the show 30-something episodes, and thank you very much. And now you're going to say, Barry, you forgot somebody. And no, I didn't, because he's our guest today. So no further ado, the man of the hour, Mr. Paul Ash.
Thank you, Barry. Thank you, Rod. I'm Paul Ash. If you just do the link tree, so that's linktr.ee/Paul Ash. You get a list of all the things that I do, which includes BattleCom, which Monday, the 29th of November, Barry is going to be on. And that is the Geek War of comedy game shows. You get 2 comics at a time punching each other in the face on some debate of geek import, such as best defense in a zombie apocalypse, etc. And then you vote not for who's right, but for who's most entertaining, because we learned from Fox News it's not about being right. And I manage the Love Doctor, who does a weekly show every Sunday night at 9 p.m. So not for the kiddies, where he dispenses love, sex, and relationship advice with 2 other performers, usually burlesque performers, assisting him in giving that advice. So there is, I think, over 100 videos on YouTube. So for that YouTube channel, you can find it on the link tree. And then I do the check-in with a couple friends every Wednesday afternoon, or at noon every Wednesday. This is Eastern Standard Times, all the times I'm giving. And then there's They Talk Funny, where I talk to comedians around the world. And that's comes out on Tuesdays, but sporadically, where we talk about writing and comedy writing. So it's sort of like Inside the Actor Studio, but for stand-up comedy. And I know I should have something funny to say about that, but
We'll go to the end. Well, I think that worked.
Oh, that's awesome. And and don't forget, you perform live.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, I'm doing stand-up all over. I like to consider my home club to be the Comedy Nest in Montreal, but I also get a little bit of stage time through my friend, the Love Doctor, because he hosts every Wednesday night at the Wiggle Room, which is 3874 Saint Laurent Boulevard, just across from Schwartz's Deli. I do recommend buying your tickets in advance because they're usually sold out come the day of the show. It is the best show in Montreal, specifically on a Wednesday, but pretty much at any other time, because it's music, it's comedy, it's burlesque, it's circus arts. There's some WTF. You don't know what is going to happen on that show. We've had people drive nails into their skull. We've had acrobats balance people. Of course, there's burlesque that happens, and then there's hybrids where we have like somebody who's a clown but also a burlesque performer, or a musician who's a burlesque performer. One of our current monarchs of the mountain right now, incredibly talented, is a burlesque performer who happens to sing like torch songs at the same time. So,
wicked. Oh man, I miss Montreal.
I'm just here trying to mentally just gather everything he's just saying. I got stuck at the nail, and then burlesque. Everybody's a burlesque, and I'm like, okay, maybe I should pick up a side hobby or a new job.
We need to do a road trip. That's what we need to do. Get some steamies and poutines on the way. Or on our way when we're there.
Thank you.
Yeah, not on the way because it's not.
Don't forget the smoked meat.
Oh God, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Swartz passed away. I apologize. I heard that. Swartz closed down.
There's also the main is right on the same like it's 3 doors down. And it's got a bigger menu than Swartz's.
Oh, okay.
That's a road trip, Rod.
To the car.
To the car.
Oh, that was a short interview.
All right, man. You take care. Have a good night, everyone. So glad to have you on, Paul. As I said, I'm always excited to be always partaking in your company when you're around. When I started comedy, Paul was one of the first people that really helped me on my journey. So thank you so much.
Nice.
Can't say enough nice things. I could, but this podcast would just be praising him.
Right from the get-go, you had great energy and you had great presence and great enthusiasm. That was obviously you had a different voice from other people, and that's why I wanted to see you on stage.
Thank you.
Reality, Paul. Thank you for taking them off our hands. We appreciate it.
You're welcome. You still owe me that $50.
When on the trip down, don't pay Paul just yet. I'm only at 40. Only got 40.
Well, this is awesome. And as I said, anyone that's, of course, seen the title of the show, you know what we're talking about. And we are talking about Grimjack. And I had to have Paul on because this is one of his favorite characters. You can see it there in his background. And for those listening, well, you're going to have to just kind of imagine it. You know what it looks. Google it. So Grimjack, let's get down to it. Grimjack, and I've read some of it. Paul's got more in depth about it. Rod's read some of it. Interesting character, very interesting character, and still a lot of influences in today's medium that people might not even catch. That Rod had a point went out there to me the other day, and I was like, oh wow. So basic history. Grimjack came across, and now he didn't start in its own issue at first. He started off in Star Slayer, right? So his first appearance was in Star Slayer, issue number 10, back in 1983. History.
The thing is, Grimjack isn't the star of his own comic.
That's true.
He never was. The star of the comic is actually the location. Cynosure. Yes. The city itself is the star because it is as important as John Gaunt or as the Grimjack is. Yeah. So I'm getting off on the history. I love it, but it was actually John Ostrander created Cynosure first, and it was supposed to be a multi-crossover event for the first universe of comics, which included Nexus and a couple others.
Yes.
And it was supposed to be destroyed at the end of the miniseries, and John Ostrander fought to keep it in existence, saying this is such a great story location. And then he came up with Grimjack afterwards, and he though Grimjack, there was another artist working on it first. Timothy Truman,
yes,
is considered a co-creator with John Ostrander. Okay. But I'm interrupting how you were
no, not at all.
You're passionate about this character. If I could just jump ahead as to why I think it's so important for us to talk about it. 2019 San Diego Comic-Con, the Russo brothers announced that they had acquired the rights to Grimjack for TV and film. Now, the thing is, then the pandemic hit, and there wasn't a lot of buzz about that they had. But since the Russo brothers, I should have checked this as of today, but I know that they had sort of a split with Marvel just recently, over the Black Widow film. Over the fact that Scarlett Johansson was not paid what she was owed, or that Disney didn't honor its contract with her. Right. And so maybe that frees them up with a little bit more time to put into this project. Fingers crossed. Get into that project, the rumors on that project towards the end. But I still think it's very exciting, the chance that we could be seeing Grimjack on the big screen, or even in the small screen.
Right. Okay. So, and this is a free flowing conversation. Yeah. What would you personally rather? Would you rather it on the big screen, or would you rather it on the small screen? And that's always a debate I have, and me and Rod talk about on a lot of other properties.
3 seasons in a movie.
Okay. Boom.
That's I think that I think there's enough technology right now that they could do it as a weekly TV series.
Right.
And I think the story structure of comic books sort of lends itself to having episodic with occasional story arcs.
I totally agree with that.
Running a couple episodes, and then maybe a major finale movie, or a movie that might just start a new chapter, which is what they should have did with Firefly. But
thank you. Yes, because I rewatched all of Firefly. I watched Serenity the other day, and then it was kind of like,
where do I go from here? I'm confused.
Well, it leaves you wanting more. There's more, and it's like The Sopranos, fade to black, as I call it. Right, just it cuts, and you're like, okay, where's the rest of it? And you're waiting, and nothing comes out. So
maybe next week.
Yeah, and I had a discussion with that. Maybe next week, right? They're going back to the time slot.
Maybe next week.
There is talk that there might be something being done in the Firefly verse, but that's just I don't know if that was rumors or pipe dream. So I can't quote the source. So right now I don't know for sure.
Right. Okay.
Right. So it's a little bit of both. So
John Ostrander is still alive. Timothy Truman's still alive. And
it's I started reading the books just to refresh my memory on some of it. Yeah. He's got volumes. There we go. And
it's the Omnibus is 5 volumes, and this one here you can see it's Timothy Truman, John Ostrander. There was multiple. Flint Henry did a lot of the artwork as well.
Yeah.
And him and Timothy Truman partnered up on a lot of stuff. They did like riffs and for Palladium games. They did a lot of the artwork there.
Right.
So they've always been friends. Timothy Truman sort of he reinvented a couple DC heroes.
Yep.
Like the Hawkworld series. That was Timothy Truman.
Which I have altogether, that whole collection, the Hawkworld.
It's so great. Format, it's like when I'm trying to remember the character's name who's just realizing how dangerous Hawkman was. Right. And the fact that he was rallying the people, saying he lets them argue and shout, and then he just whispers, and so they have to strain to hear him, and so they are actually listening to him. And it's he is dangerous because he understands that ideas are the most dangerous thing. I mean that's brilliant. He also had a comic for First Comics, which was the Scout, which was a post-apocalyptic mechas and
yes,
all these things. And so he had a Native American hero as a protagonist in a post-apocalyptic world, which was really interesting as well. Some of the stuff in Grimjack does not hold up today for being culturally appropriate, but
Yeah.
I think we'll get into some of the characters later. Timothy Truman also, he was the guy that brought Jonah Hex forward,
Yes.
re-envisioned Jonah Hex as well for DC Comics.
Right,
So,
but he gave these kind of a more of a gruff, kind of like rough, a rough edge,
a grittier type
right,
of look.
a character, right? It wasn't so clean and cut. Like when he came back with Hawkman and Hawkworld, he had a lot more grit to him. That's the word I'm looking for. He had more grit to him, which made him more tangible, in my opinion. So when I was rereading some of the Grimjack issues, I was like, I like that. As I've gotten older, it's not so much pow splash, clean endings. There's a lot of, no pun intended, shades of gray, in between. But you see that the character has his ideology that he won't sway from. He's got his own personal code. And even though it gets in certain situations, he sticks to that code, be it if you're going to agree with him or not, which makes it a lot more interesting.
I really, one of the things I really like about Grimjack, and we'll all right,
Go
kind of
for it.
spoil just a touch, because we have to discuss why Grimjack is so important, would be so important to see now, because I think it's great, because Grimjack was a child soldier. He was a gladiator as a child. Yes. He was a paramilitary soldier. He was a police officer, and as we are introduced to him in the comics, he's basically sort of like a mercenary private eye. The comic books have a very much a film noir feeling.
Yes.
As he is approaching case by case, or is hired to do certain jobs. And it's great, but you also get to see in his personality that what he calls the bleakness or the darkness and these moods that overtake him is depression. He is a guy that is suffering from PTSD. Yes. He is a guy that loved wholeheartedly and had his heart destroyed, but it doesn't stop him from taking care of those who are his own. It also doesn't stop him from being a badass murdering machine, but it's it is what he is. I'm sorry, I didn't know. Can I say stuff
Absolutely.
like that? Oh yeah. And the city of Cynosure is a pan-dimensional city. And that's what makes it so cool as a location, is because they say every dimension is connected to, or will connect to, or has connected in the past to the city of Cynosure. So where you go from neighborhood to neighborhood, the laws of physics might change. Mm-hmm. There's some neighborhoods where science doesn't work, but magic does. So if you see like the covers, you'll see he has a big gun, but he's also got a sword. So he deals with these things. Now, where he was in the military, and some of this is told in flashback stories, was he fought in the Demon Wars.
Yeah.
And because of his fighting in the Demon Wars, hell won't take him. And during another part of his story, what should be his end, he gets killed by one of his major enemies, and he finds himself in heaven.
Which surprised him, because he didn't think he would end up there for half a reason. So he got there and it was like, I made it?
Yeah.
Freaking what?
And he was reunited with the love of his life, who was murdered when he couldn't protect them, her father. And he felt at peace. And it was basically because of his loyalty to his friends and the fact that his good deeds outweighed his bad. It was why he made it to heaven. Now, the thing is, he then became aware that his friends on Earth were in danger, or in Cynosure, because it's not Earth, were in danger. And so he found out that somebody had made a clone of his body. So he left heaven, but he was told in leaving heaven, he wouldn't be given a second chance.
One-way ticket. It's you're in, you're staying. If you leave, you're on your own. Right. And that led into him leaving, going back, and then getting into a clone of his body, which was younger. And he gave himself a little bit of a different name at the time, but still trying to reestablish those friendships that he had, prior to him passing away. absolutely brilliant to then catch up with his future self.
Yes. Which now the thing is, his future self informed him that because hell wouldn't take him and heaven now has closed the doors to him, he was bound to be reincarnated over and over again as long as the city of Cynosure survives.
Yeah.
And so he is going to be part of that city's lore. He is a piece of that city now. But the thing is, when he's born, he doesn't know he is.
Yeah.
Who he is. He has to discover these memories. Now, the future self actually was trying to basically destroy Cynosure so he could finally rest, which is, sorry, a little bit of a spoiler.
No, we're not trying to hide spoilers or anything like that. I mean, at this point, the book's been out from 1983. It started. It's been out for a good while.
1990, the Demon Wars graphic novel or Demon Knight graphic novel came out.
Right.
The story of him doing all that is basically makes him sort of like Doctor Who, in the fact that another reason why it could be like a series is they could have one actor for multiple seasons.
Very nice.
And then if he dies, then they catch on. Now, after they don't show the clone's death.
No.
In the comic books, I don't believe, but they do. They jump like 200 years in the future.
That's right.
And a guy comes in. Now he owns Munden's Bar, which is the bar in Cynosure. And so 200 years in the future, this guy walks into Munden's Bar and says, "Hey, I actually own this place now." And the current owner is a little bit upset. Until he checks the bill of sale, saying if this guy shows up and can find this object and find this safe and open it up to prove who he is, then he actually is the owner.
The owner.
And he's able to do that. Now, James Twilley, the next Grimjack,
yes, right,
in the comic books, not including the clone and the future one, was born in a rich family, and they thought he was schizophrenic. Though they don't say schizophrenic, they said he was hearing voices, etc. And so they had him heavily sedated, like heavily medicated, they had him incarcerated for a long time. And he would look in the mirror and he'd say his face wasn't right because John Gaunt, the original Grimjack, had a big scar on his face.
Right.
And so James Twilley, while in the mental institution, cut his own face, so it would match what his head was telling him was his face.
Wow. So hold on, before we go further than that, and that's an interesting thing, right? Because I know, and I see, this is why I'm happy you're on here, because you have such in-depth knowledge, and I like your perception of it. We're going back now with John and his family. So his family was, let's say, dysfunctional for the least.
Yeah. Well, all right. First off, it's a pan-dimensional city, so everything is going on there. There's aliens, there's interdimensional beings, there's creatures that are so very different. And John grew up in the slummiest of the slums.
Yep.
He grew up in what was called the pit. And his father was not a nice man. The man that was married to his mother was not a nice man. His mother died in childbirth. He had an uncle Jack, who was his father, Nick, old Nick.
Yes.
He had an older brother, young Nick, and then his father married his dead wife's sister. I think her name was Mate, but everyone called her Mouse.
Yes.
Everyone called her Mouse.
Yeah. And but a young Nick was pretty devious and pretty messed up on his own right. He blamed John Gaunt for the death of the mother because she died in childbirth while he was born. His stepmom aunt did have another child, which was what was his brother's name? Wasn't Jack as well? No.
Yeah, because there was.
I can't remember, but he had a little brother that he sort of looked out for and tried to protect. But his older brother kind of worked on old Nick, his dad, to have him beat, and everything that was wrong was always John Gaunt's
His fault. Yeah.
Right. Which again, this goes into like mental health. This storyline is filled with all kinds of mental health issues, and it's also his father, and I put that in quotations because gets manipulated or begins to believe that his Uncle Jack is actually John Gaunt's father. Right. And so he kills his brother, which gets him put in jail. But
go ahead. No.
He escapes from jail and comes back, and Mos is disappeared. No one knows where she's gone, whether she's murdered, etc. And this is just backstory. This is stuff that was told in flashbacks. In Grimjack. He had such a detailed life. Like after what happened with that, then he got sold to the Gladiator pits, and they would have these wolf pack children fighting, and that's where he meets one of his strongest allies and friends for all time, and also one of his greatest enemies, because he gets trained by the dancer, who is probably the greatest gladiator of all time, but he also meets Blackjack Mac.
Yep.
Which really needs to be would definitely need to be updated, because all of his text is in jive. It's not cool.
Hey, look, we grew up with comic books that had the main guy saying Merry Christmas or Christmas, Luke Cage.
Yeah, exactly.
Walking around in a yellow shirt and big chain around his for a belt. So, we understand. We know.
Yeah, we have to be updated. It has to be updated.
But the great thing of there. Go ahead, Ron. Go ahead.
No. I was just saying, I can even segue from there. The basis of the story, what I love about it is that there's so many different layers. And talking about, without saying that it's post-traumatic disorder, not saying that it's schizophrenia, but they're saying enough stuff to give you a good picture of not only his history, what made him who he is. And when you realize that's what I like about certain comic books, certain storylines, you could tell when a writer really just said, with this character, I'm going past the envelope. I'm bringing other stuff in here and just make you realize, like, this person, if you didn't see it, you can read it and feel like, oh, I know someone exactly like that. And you can be drawn into the story. And that's the great thing about Grimjack with that.
Yeah, because people have people have their highs, they have their lows. People have their stresses. When you're home alone, you have thoughts, good, bad, whatever case be, and things you have to deal with. There's traumas you have to deal with.
I can't picture you unhappy, Barry. I'm sorry, I can't picture you unhappy ever.
If I lose Disney Plus, it's over.
I think I
just made it.
Made it.
I just came from 1970s live action Spider-Man to this. I can't go back, Paul. But we all have our moments and our days, but this character has so many layers that people don't understand how good it is, that if it got brought to the big screen, the small screen, whatever, and they do it right, don't do this whole change about, like, I'm going to do it my way because I'm a director. No, stick with the source material.
Then you know the words. Say the words.
I know, right? You have
source material.
You have it right there. It's already written for you. Copy, paste, put it on the screen.
Exactly, because you were saying a good point in regards to other characters. All characters, all the writers try to at least say, oh, he's going to have a bad day, or he might be a little depressed, whatever case it be. But it's very surface. It's very surface the storyline along that line. So that's why I like this character. You really can sit there, and sometimes you have to double take and read, because the other ones, if it's not soft, but it's very surface. Oh yeah, I understand he's depressed, he's having a bad day. Next page. Something with Grim, you're like, wait, let me go back and read that again. Did I really understand what this? Wow.
I mean, there's stories that start out, he's drinking alone in his pub, right? And he's sitting there, and even his friends are sort of avoiding him, saying, no, he's in the dark today.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
The dark has come. And so somebody wants to talk to him. We don't recommend it. The dark is here.
It's true.
But at the same time, he has such loyalty to his friends.
Yeah.
And the story structure is definitely got like a film noir aesthetic to it. That's that's another reason why just that kind of it would fit to either be a film or TV so well, because you're picturing it. I don't know if it would need a voiceover or not have a voiceover, but I'm picturing the old black and white like white
narrator.
Yes,
narrator. You mean? In that sense.
Yeah. Like just to set the tone, the scene, see what's going on in its head, like a little soliloquy, right? I think those are some things that are missing, because with comic books, when you read them, we hear the character's inner thoughts. Well, you read the character's inner thoughts. But when they try to put that on the big screen, small or any screen, you'll see them and they'll just look at you. Now there's an internal dialogue going on, but because we're watching it, we never hear it. So they try to portray it by facial expressions and all that, and you're like, oh, he was thinking this, but it's still an assumption. There's a chunk of text that gets thrown out when they don't give that inner dialogue.
Now, okay. Blade Runner, also film noir feel.
Yes.
Blade Runner, American release or European release? Which is your favorite?
Oh, European.
So the one without the narration is the better one, because it allows the acting to speak for it and allows you to read and interpret, which I think they could do with Grimjack. Now, there's some of us who have read the story, so we have an idea, but I don't think we are alone, or I don't think it. I'm afraid that people in Hollywood will think, oh, we got to go for the lowest common denominator. We got to spell it out for people. We better have a narrator.
I would only, the reason I would say that is because, like I was saying before, when you have characters that their expression, their actions is very surface, it now takes upon the director, the writers to try to go deep to figure out what was this guy actually thinking at that time. But Grimm, it's all there. If you really just sit there and read, that information is already there. So that should be able to help the character, help the actors, help the directors to be able to say, well, you can clearly see he's sitting by himself, instead of us trying to, well, not us, but the writers trying to build that image of him being at the bar by himself. He's in the dark. You can clearly see it. That it's like, there's no mistaking. He's in a mood that you do not want to talk to him at all. Yeah, but that information is pulled out from the comics already, so it should be easier for them to at least be able to portray that.
Yeah, and his inner thoughts, I think it would help. I mean, you don't want to overshadow it, but at the same time, it's still nice to know some of his inner thoughts to give a little bit more context to the character. I think that you don't. Yeah, I don't want to miss anything with him. That's what it is.
I think a lot can be spoken by good actors through body language.
True.
Right.
So you can get a lot. Now, the other problem is that the world, the city, Cynosure, is so foreign to a lot of people's conception.
Yeah.
Right. Wow. Something will have to be done to explain that the trans-dimensional nature of the city.
Right.
Now, I think we should also address what happens during the Demon Wars.
Yes. Please.
Okay. So he his way out of the fighting pits was to be recruited into the army to fight the Demon Wars. Basically, hell is another dimension touched Cynosure, and hell consumes. So hell invaded the city. Now, parts of the city, magic doesn't work, and hell had a hard time getting in there. But the people of the city fought back against hell, and he was recruited into the army. The pit was consumed by hell. Hell took over sections of the city, and they fought against it, and he got injured, and so they took him to a dimension that was attached, that had barriers to help keep hell out, that was hidden, basically not a full barrier. And that was a magical land where time traveled a little faster, so it was able to heal people quicker. While he was there, the ruler of that land was this magician, and he recognized that John had the ability to do magic and tried to teach him. He also fell for this guy's daughter, and her little brother sort of idolized him a lot. Now, through all of this, he realized that he had to go back to save Cynosure. And as much as the other guy wanted to keep him as his apprentice to be the next Magus, he goes back, and because he knew that Hell had to be stopped. Now, in the battle to stop Hell, there's the Free Marines and a bunch of other organizations got involved. There was somebody made a magic robot, so it could supposedly fight Hell, but it actually turned side, joined with Hell. All kinds of bad stuff happened that came out later and later and came back. But when the fighting stopped and they won, and he went back, that dimension was betrayed. That dimension had been fed to Hell, and all the people, including the Magus who ruled it, his daughter that John loved, and her little brother, all of them were killed. And he blamed himself, not knowing that it was his own commander is the person that actually betrayed that dimension to Hell. And that's the Major, who it becomes a recurring villain.
Right.
Who actually gets killed a couple times because he just finds a way back.
No one dies in comics. No one dies.
Yeah, well, some people die.
Right.
I mean, there's supporting characters are fantastic. We already talked about Blackjack Mac, but
yes.
There's a lot of other ones, but the villains were fairly iconic, and some of the allies also became villains because of just the political eddies that were happening in that city as well. So, I mean, like Blackjack's wife,
yes,
was a goddess. So, and Blackjack may or may not have been cheating on her, but that's because he liked to live dangerously.
He's crazy.
She was a goddess, for crying out loud. There was a dwarf who was his sergeant, I think his sergeant in the army, and then, or when he was a police officer after the army, he became a police officer. Roscoe would feed him information or help him get information about cases that he was working on, or point him in directions of stuff that he might be interested in. So he was great that way. There was the bartender whose name I forget right now.
Right.
The bartender, the original bartender for John Gaunt, didn't like him right away, but did come to like him, and in his own way avenged John Gaunt's death.
Okay, right.
Then there's also Bill. Bill is a empathic lizard. They're low intelligence, but when they are in pain, they sing. And so there was a high society function happening, and people had one of these things. They had Bill in a cage, and they were torturing it to make it sing.
Jeez.
And so John Gaunt, in the middle of another job, rescued this thing, and it followed him home. And a lot of the times when he was in the dark, like when the dark was consuming him, Bill the lizard would come over and sing and try to help lift him out of it because it was empathic.
Right.
It could feel his pain. And you know, this was the person that saved him from so much pain himself. So
it's deep.
I was about to say there's layers. There's layers to this thing, man.
He one of his lovers was a revenant, a woman who was murdered, but she was a ghost, and but she got her dimension only connected only so many years, and so the person who murdered her dumped her spirit in Cynosure, knowing that he lived most of his life without being haunted by her. But they did go back to get revenge, and he had the unenviable job of trying to stop his lover from being a complete monster.
Man, it's so.
There's enough arcs.
It's so much like so. When did you become aware of Grimjack, Paul? When did you become aware? And second question is, which one is your favorite story arc?
Oh man.
Paul needs a moment.
Yeah, I do need a moment. I was a comic collector in the 80s. I managed a comic book store from 89 to 91.
Okay.
So yeah. So I was aware of it, I think, when it was coming out, and I was following it from First Comics back then. So a shout out to Wilkie's Wonderful World, which I don't think exists anymore. But that was the store I worked for. It was a chain. Favorite storyline. The Demon War storyline is so heartrending. But actually, all right, comics. Comics did a web version in the 1990s. No, more recent than that, I think. They did the Demon Wars. Oh no, not the Demon Wars. The Manx Cat.
Okay.
And then the Manx Cat got bundled as a graphic novel afterwards through IDW.
Right.
And because the Manx Cat is like a Maltese Falcon type MacGuffin that appears in a couple other stories, and it's great fun and it's neat. But then it came out this storyline written by John Ostrander where the Manx Cat is actually the reason it's being stolen so often is because it houses a great evil, and that evil is trying to escape. And so he's hired to steal it, then realizes that he stole it from the people who were keeping it safe. Then he has to bring it back. And at the same time, there's elder gods, there's demon invasions, there's cat priestesses, there's all these things. And the artwork with if you've read the Hawkworld series,
yes,
like the mini series before the series,
yeah.
You would see like how alien a lot of the alien creatures are. That's Timothy Truman's artwork, and there's so many aliens like that in the series that are great. There was a rough trade, like not in the Manx Cat, but another storyline. There's a rough trade male prostitute who's a unicorn. So he's like got skinny. He's got a face tattoo of a star and his unicorn horn.
Okay,
it's and a horse face. Sorry,
right.
Not yeah. But other than that, it's fairly human features, except I think only 3 fingers, and they kind of look almost like horseshoes. And then they get the backward knees, horse.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, there's a lot of creative visuals in that. I think one of the greatest gut punches on that was discovering, like, we sort of knew who the character was because they followed the bad guys for a little bit, that he actually kills his own son.
Yes.
No, I would say the Manx Cat would have to be
your top one.
That's your go-to.
Your favorite storyline. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean,
interesting.
Yeah.
And he's still thinking about it. I like that. You're still kind of, is it? Yeah. Because so many storylines that are so many story arcs that are so good. It's almost hard. And I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but I know sometimes everyone has like one particular storyline. Like, I'll read that again. And or that's the one that draws to me for whatever reason. So now we're going on this, and we can keep going for sure. And here's my question. Though usually we try to cast the main character, right? So, and I tried, by look, feel, and I came up with an actor who I think could play it, but I'm still on the fence. So hold on, I wrote his name down, and I know I'm going to butcher this.
There's only one actor I think could do it.
Oh, okay, all right. So hold on to your thought for half a second.
Okay.
I'm going to go with you because you have a lot more insight on this.
Right.
And I went off kilter, so to speak. So the person I was going with, his name is Raul Max Trujillo. He's in the Mayans. He plays a character called Tay. So he's pretty much, if you watch the Mayans show, he's the gay biker that's in there on the Mayans. He only came out gay pretty much the last season, the past season that just came out. He's he's got like the traditional like Native American necklace always around him. You know, he's one of he's an older one, a little bit slim, long hair. But I like he's got that gravelly voice and to it, because when I look at Grimjack, it's like I was also trying to kind of figure his background, his ethnic background to a certain degree. So at times he looks Native American, and at times he doesn't look Native American, right? But he knows he's got that distinctive nose. So I was just trying to go with different aspects and characters. So he's not a big name character. He's done a lot. So I mean, obviously the most popular thing right now currently, he's in Sons of Anarchy. He was in Apocalypto. He's done other movies. He's a little bit older, so he kind of fits it for me. But I said that was who I kind of drew on there, right?
I have to watch, because I haven't watched the Mayans. So
okay,
yeah, neither have I. So I'm just checking now.
And then spoiler on that, the character he plays, his name is Tay, like T-A. That's the character he plays.
Okay, I'll have to check him out. I'm because of the right age and the fact that I know he can pull off the gravitas as well as pull off the charming when needed.
Yes,
and humor.
Yeah,
was Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
Well, thanks for tuning in, everybody.
Well, I'm done. I got nothing else to say. Right. I'm out. Yeah.
You see it too, Rod?
Well, that's exactly. I literally can see him as well doing that. So you're right. He has the chops, the comedy, the right connect. You know, he has the right timing to do that stuff. But on the flip side, him playing a villain, or at least not even saying playing a villain, but he has that darkness that you can just see him like, yeah, that's possible. Yeah, that's possible.
Look at
replace his sword with Lucille, and then that's all we need to do. Replace his sword with Lucille, and we're good.
See, Grimjack has the darkness in him too. That's what makes him so compelling. Is the fact that he has something that separates him from the bad guys, but it's not very big.
I'm only a swing away. I'm one less swing away from being a villain. That's what he really is.
Yeah, and I can
swing
see that.
Less.
I can see that, because I mean I liked him when in the Walking Dead series he's playing Negan. I liked him in The Losers, small role he played Thomas Wayne. Even though it was a small role, he captured that scene like
Supernatural.
Yeah, Supernatural too.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. So who'd you have for half a second there, Rod?
Well, I had just had what Paul said. That's why I went. Sorry, I was more reacting to like, I thought it was going to come out of left field. Like, it's Jeffrey. No, I already got Jeffrey.
Sorry, I didn't know it.
No. That's good. That's how we like to do it. We like to do it. There's 3 options right here. 3 automatic choices. We have no idea who's going to come with who, with what, how, or when. Right. And Barry and I have done it a couple of times. Not that often, but a couple of times where we've actually became, this is who I choose. This is who I choose. So now it's Paul and I. That's 2-1, Barry. Forget you, Barry.
Well, the thing is, they have to do it soon. They have to do it soon, or he's going to be too old.
Yes.
Now, some of the things that annoyed me. Now, they've shown other faces that Grimjack has worn, and some of them have been women, some of them have not been human, etc. There is one of the leaks from the Russo brothers toying with the script is the fact is he has to save his daughter. There's no daughter in any of the source material.
No.
Oh
no, that's now they're starting to tweak. Now they're starting to tweak. Now they're starting to tweak.
So the thing is, if I think it could be done right, but
well, we can say with the Russo brothers, we know they're gonna do their best, and it probably will make sense for us right now hearing Grim daughter. That does not compute, but I'm sure they'll make it to make sense. But
his son could, his son in the storyline could have been a daughter.
Right. Maybe that's right. They're going to use it from that aspect.
But
right. So for you, if this comes to light, are you more a purist on it, or would you allow a little bit of deviation on the story because you're a true fan of the material? Like how far?
I would allow deviation.
You would allow deviation?
I look, as long as the thing that has to be consistent
Yes.
is the spirit of the story.
Got it.
Yeah, completely.
Right? If they don't capture the spirit of the character, the spirit of the story, then it's not Grimjack. Why use that name if it's not Grimjack? Because it's not the spirit. Just like Man of Steel,
right?
Wasn't Superman,
right? Yeah, I like parts of it. I but I get what you're saying. Absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely. So yeah, wow. I'm still Jeffrey Dean. Okay, all right.
yeah.
Damn. Damn.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Because he could definitely blow out that darkness. You like again, Negan, although he's been Supernatural, more of the good father. I think I remember seeing Jeffrey on one of the morning shows, and he said, "Yeah, this is like doing it." As most actors say, when they're doing a villain, they just feel more released. They feel more relaxed. That they don't have to really try to focus in to make it sound like or make it feel like it's good. If someone a villain or someone has darkness, my mind can go anywhere. It's questionable, but I can just go anywhere and I can feel more at ease, and it'll pull up the character better. And he does that with Negan. There's so many times you watch the show in the beginning, he's on that level, and then when he came over to the good side, per se, like something might just tweak him off. He's just like one swing less than being Negan. That's.
I think it would be slightly more obvious than Mal from Firefly, because you remember what was aired as the pilot, the train episode, the train robbery,
right?
And at the end of that, when he's discussing with Crow, saying, "Look, we'll give you back the money. We're just going to return the stuff we stole," and he goes, "I'm going to kill you." He goes, "Okay, you'll be like that," and then he kicks him into the engine.
Yeah.
And then he starts to spiel with the next guy, right? I think there's that kind of aspect.
Yes.
With Grimjack.
Yes, fully. I'm giving you an option out. I'm giving you an option.
Yeah.
Man, that is well done.
And yeah. And just one of the things, he does know magic, but he doesn't rely on it. It's something he can pull on.
Right. It's kind of in his back pocket. It's a little bit of a sensitivity he has to it to know when it's around to use it, but it's not his main focus. He's bottom line, he's a thinker. He doesn't run into situations brash and just start swinging. He really thinks, analyze what he's doing before he gets into it. One of the lines he says is like, "You don't get to my age without thinking about certain things," or just running into it. Some of the heroes we see, it's like, "Oh, I'm going to go in there and just start swinging and hope for the best." He's going to no, this guy can probably take me, but if I shoot him in the head, okay, we're good. We're going to keep walking.
Yeah. And then there's also the juice about his reputation and, all the street level stuff. Like the character was originally created to be sort of in a post-apocalyptic Chicago.
Yes, exactly.
Cynosure became a thing that was, yeah.
And the thing is, with Cynosure, I actually will love to see. I mean, I really would like it now that we've always had we had an understanding of the character, but like you said, the city, that's part of the deal. That's part of the storyline that you definitely want to see this. So definitely be able to see a section that has magical, that doesn't have magic, how it intertwines basically with the different type of characters, who are, like we said, animal, this basically humanoid type of, that is something I would definitely like to see. So I go back to what you're saying initially. You start visually, like you said initially, if you did like a three series and then went into a movie, the series will give us enough time to get deep into the lore, get into the, the aspect of who the character is. Throw it over to a movie. Great. Let's come right back to the series again. Do like a movie.
All right. So here's another good question for you, and we'll wrap this up. So you're saying 3 seasons of a TV show, or like 3 seasons, and then end with a movie. So because now it's got to be very grand if it's a movie, right? So what storyline are you building up towards the movie? Because he's got multiple storylines. So if you want to end off this from a viewer point of view,
I think, all right, from the viewer point of view, if we end up with the death of John Gaunt,
okay,
maybe to the clone,
okay,
to explain how it could be another actor after that.
Okay,
let me do your Doctor Who type of scenario. Okay,
yeah. Now, for a production basis, you'll see a lot of shows will start with a movie and then then they do episodes.
Right.
The reason for that is they make a production company for the movie that's basically designed to lose money. So they can buy all the assets that they need and all that, and then they write it off as a loss for the production company. And then they buy everything on a fire sale so they can use it in the series.
Oh, like the Inhumans.
Well, no, that one was an orphan. But the original Battlestar Galactica.
Oh God, yes. Yes.
Right? Most of the special effects were paid for and filmed for the first movie. Mm-hmm. And then when they made the series, they just showed those special effects again.
And it
right? They just did little updates, little pieces, so it didn't cost as much.
Right. Oh, that's smart. And on that, I mean, I'm part of there's a Facebook group for the original Battlestar Galactica on Facebook, which I'm a part of, so people can find me very easily.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Got that. So that's smart.
Now, I do have these, and they're great, but they're slightly smaller than comic books. I just want to tell people that the pages are a little smaller, so some of it can be hard to read. Mm-hmm. The back issues are out there, and they still haven't gone up a lot. So you can go to WoW, go to the wherever the sponsors are.
Yeah, check swings.
Find online. You can get the back issues and read the stories because they are amazing. I mean, look at that. He's got the sword. He's got the gun. He's got the magical medallions. He is Grimjack.
Man, that's beautiful. Paul, thank you so much for jumping on this podcast. I got shivers. Woo!
Goosebumps.
Goosebumps.
At least I'm not jumping on your roof. I'm a little bit heavy, so it might be dangerous.
Jeez, it is awesome, So thank you everyone for tuning in. Thank you everyone for listening. Please like, subscribe, share. I will add your link on here, Paul, so people can find you, because I want them to find you and follow you on everything you do. Thank you for joining us, teaching us. Any last words, Paul?
Love the story. Always love the spirit of the story. And the spirit of the story is what needs to be translated whenever they take a property and they put it forward. That's what needs to be done. Also, follow Barry. I'm sorry which side you're on, but he's there. Follow Barry, and especially check him out when he's on BattleCom.
I need the votes.
Vote for who's most entertaining, not who's right.
Exactly. And on that note, I almost forgot. Jesus, Zeus Fleming from Red GTV. Oh my gosh! So here we go. Another shout out to Zeus. Look him up, and you can see all of that there. See all our madness. Thank you everyone for tuning in. As I always like to say, this world is created by a pencil, a piece of paper, and imagination. Keep on dreaming. Take care.
I love you all.
Cynosure.
Rod, you kill me.
I'm going down to London. Anybody want a drink? Meet me there. Go to London bar. Go to the bar. See? I'm not the only one. All that I do.
Grimjack.
Lay it out. Grimjack. Grimjack.
Good night, everyone.
Grimjack.